Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars video. So this one's going to be very different. Usually with my Star Wars lore videos, my news updates, my breakdowns, I usually do things in a very structured way. I do occasionally do videos off the cuff, but not as raw as this. This video has a very simple premise. Now that Andor Season 2's come and gone, now that 99% of Disney Plus Star Wars shows have finished, I'm going to rank them, and not just the shows, but the movies as well. So this is going to be the ultimate Star Wars Meg 2025 Star Wars ranking video. And you guys have been asking me for one of these for a pretty long time. I think the last time I did something like this was 2022. And with the internet, especially a fandom as passionate as the Star Wars fan base, everyone's got their own opinions on what good Star Wars is, and there are always going to be disagreements. So these videos can be a bit contentious and controversial, and I do think I've got a couple of really hot takes. But as a Star Wars fan who enjoys more Star Wars than I don't, my rankings tend to change quite a bit. Not drastically, my top 3 are pretty set in stone, but it's very much a mood thing. Some months, if I'm really into The Phantom Menace, I might bump it up a few places. So I will say, if in the future you notice 1 or 2 shows or movies shift places the next time I do one of these videos, I am human. This isn't gospel. This isn't like my rankings have to stay the same forever here on out. And sometimes you'll watch a Star Wars movie or a show and you rewatch it at a different point in your life and you appreciate something you didn't the first time round. Or maybe a Star Wars movie which maybe didn't speak to you in the past suddenly does because of things going on in your life. So this ranking is my ranking as of late May, early June 2025. This is where I am based on this moment. So you've probably seen a million YouTubers do the same kind of thing, but just to catch you up to speed, there is an S tier right at the top for the very, very best, the creme de la creme. Then we have, pretty self-explanatory, A to F. A being very good, B being good, C is average or okay, D is not good, E is awful, F is abysmal. That's the way I'm interpreting it. And here we have all of the movies, the live action shows, and the animated shows. Now I do just want to say as another disclaimer, and I promise you I am getting to the main topic, and I promise you we are going to get straight into it. Just because something is C tier or D tier, it doesn't mean I think it's bad. It just means that maybe it doesn't warrant the top spots. Now I didn't practice this. It's not like I'm doing this after I figured everything out in my head. I'm doing this off the cuff. Someone suggested it. They sent me the updated 2025 tier maker. This is new territory for me. I hope you enjoy this much more chill kind of video. It's not as fast paced as my news updates or most of my other content. But no more jibber jabber, shall we dive into this? So in terms of S tier, the very best of all Star Wars, I'm gonna have to begin with my favorite Star Wars movie. And it's also my favorite movie period of all time. The Empire Strikes Back, Episode 5. That is untouchable. Go back to any of my previous rankings, Empire is always S tier for me. Then I'm gonna have to say A New Hope, or for the OG fans, just Star Wars, the original 1977 movie that kicked everything off. No matter my mood, I always find myself returning to these 2 films. The original Star Wars movie will always be the ultimate comfort movie in my eyes. Also going at the very top, Revenge of the Sith. I know I said it's a mood thing, but these don't really change. They're not as malleable as some of my other picks as we go further down the list. I think I'm also going to put Return of the Jedi at the very top. If we're doing every single Star Wars movie, Star Wars TV show, I'm sorry, but Episode 6 also has to make the cut. The most powerful redemption arc ever put to screen. The return of Anakin Skywalker. The culmination of George Lucas's original trilogy with some of the best messages and lessons in the entire franchise. Compassion is stronger than hatred. Hope is a powerful force. Unity overcomes tyranny. And your blood does not determine your destiny. Luke feared becoming like his father, but instead, he redeemed him. Jedi is S tier. So what else are we going to put at the top? Because I don't want to be one of those people that puts everything I like in S tier. This is anything that's untouchable. So I'm going to have to slip The Phantom Menace into S tier. I know there are a lot of fans who will say, why isn't Andor at the top? Isn't it your favorite Disney Plus Star Wars TV show? It is, and it's excellent. One of the best things Disney Star Wars has ever made. But for me, it doesn't compare to the OT. It's close, so I'll put it as the very first A tier. The way I look at it, these are the movies that to me are untouchable. They are the standard of what Star Wars is. They dictate the main events in the Skywalker saga that meant the most to me personally. And so I don't mean to sound like a George Lucas elitist, but those are the ones for me that get S tier. Andor comes very close. I was tempted to put it right here on the right hand side, just next to Phantom Menace. It's going to be A. Next to it is going to be Star Wars Rebels, so Rebels gets A tier. It's my favorite animated show. Then for the next A tier spot, Attack of the Clones. This is going to be controversial for many fans, but look, if you've been watching my channel for years, you know I'm a big prequel fan. Attack of the Clones gets a really bad rap. It's often considered the worst prequel for bad dialogue, for the directing, for the delivery of certain lines, but I think to this day, it single-handedly defines the prequel era. If there was no Attack of the Clones, you'd have nothing with Jango Fett, Count Dooku, the Clone Wars, the Bad Batch. This movie was a triumph for cinema. A masterpiece that began Anakin's downfall. The alien designs, the Battle of Geonosis, the visual effects. I love this movie. I think any prequel fan can appreciate how important this film was. It's also Tamara Morrison's favourite Star Wars movie. So, what else are we putting in A tier? Again, another controversial choice, but Skeleton Crew. This was such a fun series, Goonies in space. I know it wasn't too popular in terms of viewership, and it's very unlikely to get a second season, but I loved it. Very few criticisms. Also, Rogue One. I'm a fan of Andor, and Rogue One is a fantastic film. Action-packed, a brilliant build-up to A New Hope, the Vader hallway scene of course, so A tier. Another A tier, and I guess this is considering all seasons, is The Mandalorian. I was more of a fan of seasons 1 and 2, and despite my thoughts and feelings about the third season and how I really think they dropped the ball in terms of quality, it's still gonna go an A. Its cultural impact cannot be denied. Without Mando, Disney Plus would have never popped off back in 2019. So Mando goes in A tier, and so does 3D Clone Wars. So now we're gonna go to B tier. Something that was bordering A for me was The Bad Batch, but I'm gonna put it just below these other ones. Rebels for me is the best animated TV show, and you know, maybe on a different day, if I'd just done a rewatch, I'd put Bad Batch here, but should I put it in B? You know what, no, I'm gonna put it in A. And just after it, Tales of the Jedi. I would put it in A because it is fantastic, but I'm still annoyed at Dave Filoni for killing off Yaddle. I know, I get it. She had to disappear before episode 2, but it still really hurt, so it's getting a B. Just after it, Ahsoka. I love the show, but it wasn't perfect. I have my gripes with the final 2 episodes. You know, this is why Andor Season 2 was such a triumph. It stuck a landing. A lot of other Disney Plus shows kind of drop off in the final episode or 2. Don't get me wrong, I love the Bale and Mortis stuff, but there were some decisions like Sabine Wren's Force Push, some poor choreography against the Night Troopers, that pushes this to a B, but I'm still excited for Season 2. I'm also gonna give a B to Solo. It's not a bad movie. I was a big fan of the Maul cameo, I was a big fan of Kira as a character, I thought Alden Ehrenreich did a good job as Han, but do I find myself rewatching Solo? Not as much as some of the others, but to me it is a solid flick, so it's getting a B. I'm also going to give a B to the Clone Wars movie. They put Young Jedi Adventures here, so it's a good show, not for my target demographic, but I'll put it as the first one for C. I'm also going to give a C to Tales of the Underworld. It was fun. Haven't rewatched it. I like the Quinlan Vos and Asajj stuff. I'm giving it a C. I'm also going to give Book of Boba Fett a C. This is another controversial choice, because I know a lot of fans consider it a series with very few redeeming qualities. But I was a huge fan of the Mando episodes, especially episode 6, From the Desert Comes a Stranger. I know it was full of fan service with Luke and Cad Bane, Ahsoka, R2-D2, the Temple, but in an otherwise pretty average series, I enjoyed it. So I think Book of Boba Fett also gets a C. I'm gonna put Kenobi here as well. In my overall TV show rankings, it comes just under Book of Boba Fett. Again, it had its moments. Coincidentally, also episode 6, the fight scene between Obi-Wan and Vader, and the tragic line, "You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did." I'm also going to give The Force Awakens a C ranking. It's the best of the sequel movies in my opinion, fantastic cliffhanger ending. I get the criticisms. It repeated a lot of tropes from A New Hope. It moved so far away from the prequel trilogy aesthetic, because I think in 2015 Lucasfilm was afraid of backlash. But it's a pretty solid movie. Great introductions to many of the characters like Rey, Finn, Hux, and it was the other 2 films after it, The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, that really dropped the ball on the setup. Wasted opportunities. I'm also going to put Star Wars Resistance in C. It wasn't as popular as the Clone Wars or Rebels. I think it did a good job of expanding the threat of the First Order. Many fans are averse to watching it because it's set during the sequels. I'd say, give it a chance. The second season is better than the first. Next in our rankings, Star Wars Visions. And because it has some great shorts like The Twins, The Ninth Jedi, The Elder, Lop and Ocho, Star Wars Visions across both seasons was okay. I'm not the biggest fan of anime. I like the innovation with some of the animation styles like Aardman's episode. The final one for this category is Tales of the Empire. I like the Morgan Elsbeth stuff, but when you title a show Tales of the Empire, we should have had more Vader, more Tarkin, more Palpatine. We need more seasons of all of the anthology shows. So then we come on to The Last Jedi, The Rise of Skywalker, and The Acolyte. Again, this might be controversial, but Last Jedi gets D, Rise of Skywalker gets E, and so does The Acolyte. I guess I didn't put anything in F tier. If I had to, sorry guys, it's The Acolyte. The Rise of Skywalker has some fun moments, but it doesn't wrap the saga up in a satisfying way. So I guess, with that said, that is my ranking. S tier, episodes 1 and 3, 4, 5 and 6. A tier, Andor, Rogue One, Rebels, Attack of the Clones, Skeleton Crew, Mando, Clone Wars and the Bad Batch. B tier, Tales of the Jedi, Ahsoka, Solo, and Clone Wars. C tier, Young Jedi Adventures, Tales of the Underworld, Book of Boba Fett, Kenobi, Force Awakens, Resistance, Visions and Tales of the Empire. And then D tier, Last Jedi, E tier, The Rise of Skywalker, and F tier, The Acolyte. I'm sure you guys have your own rankings and your own views on this, so share those in the comments. But we did it. Now you might say, where is Ewoks? Where is droids? They didn't put everything on this. These are just the main ones. I'm sure some of you agree and some of you disagree, so let me know your rankings in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, my dear friends, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, check me out on socials, and may the Force be with you, always.